Hi there. So today I'm going to show you how to use NoodleTools. If you've already got your account set up, you can find it again either in curriculum resources, or you can search up here, or I've already added it as a favorite. So I'm going to go to NoodleTools, and because I've already logged into ClassLink and set up my account, I am ready to go. When you first get to NoodleTools, you're going to show up to your list of projects. And so you can see I have a lot of practice projects here. And then once you open up a project, these other buttons will start to appear. And so to set up your project, if you want to make a new one, you're going to click New Project and go ahead and give it a title. Then you're going to select your citation style. So MLA, APA, or Chicago. You can always change it if you need to. And then select the citation level. I typically use junior because the starter level only has the 6 basic options, and junior includes several other options, and that includes images. So I'm going to click submit, and I have now set up my project. And so I've gone ahead, and now you'll see that these buttons start to appear again. This is the name of the project that I just created, and then I can start to fill in my project details. And so I can give it a title. What can I use NoodleTools to do? Which is not a good research question, but it's a good demo. I can start to develop my thesis or my main claim. And in a later video, I'll show you how you can set a lot of this up for your students already and have something that's called an inbox to view all of their projects. The other thing that I can go ahead and do is start my paper. And you can see that it's going to just make me sign back into Google. And it will automatically name the paper the same thing that I named my project. And then it will also, this is where I can of course start typing my paper just like you normally would. If you need to organize it, no problem. You can go in and you can move it wherever you need to within your Google Drive, and that will still stay linked to your NoodleTools account. You can see there's some other options down here for sharing. Again, your students can invite you to collaborate. They can also invite another classmate to collaborate, but I think most of the time teachers are going to use the inbox to do that. And then there's also a place for you to have a to-do list. And so I could go over here, click Add Item, and maybe I know that I need my source cards done, and I can give it a due date. So maybe they need to be due by Friday, and then click Submit, and those will show up down here in my to-do items. As I'm working within my project, one of the things that I'm definitely going to want to do is create my sources. So this can take place a couple of different ways. If I was working on a website, if I click New Source and go to Website, it's going to give me some options. And so I'll need to make a determination where I got that information, but probably just a web page. And then I can just start filling in the information. So I could fill in the URL, when it was published, when I accessed it. If I click today, it'll fill it in for me. And then just start filling in the blanks here. If the website creates the citation for me, I can click on this quick cite. And when I click on that, it gives me a box, and then I could just paste that citation and click Save. Okay. Of course, we always recommend to our students that they use the databases. So I'm going to show you how easily you can cite sources using the databases. So if I've completed my research and I found an article in one of the databases, for example, Gale, here's my article. You can scroll down and see the information. This one's actually really brief. But if I scroll to the bottom, it gives my source citation. And then there's a button where I can export to NoodleTools, or up at the top, I can just click Cite and it will do the same thing. And so in Gale, MLA shows up first, and then I just click Export to NoodleTools. And then it will place the citation here in this box. It does ask if you want to give any information. If you notice a big error, you could send that. And then the other thing is right here where it says project, it says NoodleTools or whatever project you had just opened. And if I scroll down, if for some reason I needed to save it to a different project in NoodleTools, I can change it. But I'm going to leave it in the demo and then click Import References. And I'll know that I was successful because this little green message appears up at the top. And now, if I go to NoodleTools and click on my sources, you will see that the one that I just clicked on in Gale now appears in my list. If I completed my research in ProQuest, it works exactly the same way. Here's my article. I go over here to Cite. The big difference is that it defaults to APA, so I'm just going to change that to MLA. Scroll down, and there's my link to NoodleTools, so I can click on that. If I want to make any changes, I can, or I can just click Continue. And just like you saw a moment ago, here's the citation, tells me what project I found it in, and then I'm just going to click Import. And it does, if you notice, I start to get a lot of these tabs, and so I tend to close them as I'm working. But now when I get back to my sources, if I just click on that to refresh it, you can see that it lists all of my sources. The other great part about NoodleTools are the note cards. And so when I click on note cards, you can see that it gives you the option to create a new note card. And so I could give it a title. And so think about how your reasons or how you would want your students to set up your note cards. If you've already added your sources, you can see that the sources start to pop up there. So I can select that. And then if I wanted to go back into the article, and maybe there's a direct quote, for example, I can copy it and paste that right into my note card. And then this is where I can start to interact with that. So in my own words, I could explain what this means. So ellipse means, and give that information, or make a connection to my original thoughts. So I think, and start to fill that in. There's a place for you to add tags if you wanted to. And then later, as you were looking, you could search for it. Again, you've got some other options up here, like for the URL. But then when you save and close, you'll see that the note cards will start to appear. And you can kind of highlight or hover over, and it will give you just kind of a brief look at what's going on within that note card. And so we love to see our students using NoodleTools for the sources and the note cards. And then of course we mentioned the paper, and you will see that it is the same paper that I started working on earlier. So those are kind of the basic features of NoodleTools. At any time, if I need to get back to my list of projects, I just click here, and you can see a list of all the projects. It'll tell you how many sources you have, when you created something, when you last modified it. Again, I mentioned the sharing and collaborating that I'll go back over in a moment. If you need to edit anything for your project, you could click on it, and this is where you could rename it if you needed to change the style. So maybe you found out you need to go even more advanced, or those 6 choices are appropriate for you. That's okay as well for the level. And the final piece that I just wanted to mention in this video is how easy it is to export your sources into a works cited page. And so I'm going to pick this project just because it has 6 sources in it. So when I click on this and I go to my sources, you can see all of my citations here. And so when I want to build my works cited, I'm going to go through here and I'm going to select the ones that I want to use. And then I notice that these last 2 are exactly the same, so I'm only going to select one of them. And then I'm going to go up here where it says print export, and I'm going to export this to a Google Doc. And it'll make me link that one more time. And voila, we now have a works cited page that is properly formatted. You've got the hanging indent, the double spacing, and it's ready to go. If you see anything odd about it, like the last name shouldn't be capitalized, you could change that. If there's anything that needs to be edited, you're now in a Google Doc and you can do that very easily on your own. And that's just kind of the quick pieces of NoodleTools. I've got a few other things to show you, but I want to put those in a separate video.